Greetings. Welcome to Dr. Neil's Spiritual Awakening to Nonduality. This is Dr. Connie Zweig, and I'll be interviewing my husband who lives in spiritual awakening. You may have heard about this or read about it, but you may not know someone who lives it day to day. We'll be exploring how non-duality developed in Dr. Neil as I've observed it over 25 years, and as he directly experiences it every day. Each podcast will explore a different theme. We look forward to you joining us. Greetings. Welcome back. Today we're going to explore a variety of non-dual states of consciousness that are higher levels of consciousness beyond ego, beyond subject-object, that Neil has been experiencing for a while now. And he's going to describe how they unfolded and how they're distinct states that are different from the ego's versions of these states as feelings. These are not simple emotions. They're actual non-dual states of consciousness. Okay, Dr. Neil.
Let's start with pleasure. Pleasure is an ego state, but it's also a non-dual state. There's such a thing as pleasure in the body just by being in it, not by doing anything, not by exploring anything, not by evoking anything, just the existence of being that is experienced in a body, a sense of pleasure, deep pleasure.
And what makes it non-dual?
What makes it non-dual is that there's no doer, nobody doing it. It's just happening. It's a product of being that's connected with the body. But there's no sense of self or other, or someone pleasuring me, or someone making me happy, or someone making me unhappy, which I think a lot of ego states are all about what somebody else can do for you or what you can do to get something for yourself.
And is this pure pleasure in the non-dual state connected to a chakra?
Yeah, it's connected to the first chakra, but it's not the normal first chakra that you get with an ego state. It's already returning after being awake and being stabilized in enlightenment to the body, and the sense of the body as being an expression or an aspect of consciousness, of non-duality.
Okay. And what's the next one?
The next one would be well-being, a deep sense of well-being that feels like I'm totally healthy, even though I might not be. But there's a feeling of being a well-being that moves through the physical and emotional process, and it has no doer in it. There's nobody doing it. There's nobody receiving it. It just is there. So well-being is not the same as pleasure. It's a sense of being fulfilled, completely happy.
So at the doing level, we might go for a run and feel well-being, but this is not that. This is kind of emerging spontaneously.
Yes, it's emerging spontaneously and it can be evoked. So it's not only passive, can be evoked. One can actually move into it by putting attention on it.
So when we spoke before, you mentioned that your sense of well-being felt womb-like.
Yes, so it feels like I'm in the womb, that my mother's womb, and everything is taken care of. I'm fed and nurtured and nourished, and all toxic material are removed, and there's a deep sense of growth and feeling good about the life story, the life journey. I can remember being back in the womb with this experience.
But why would you have an experience now as a 70-year-old that's womb-like?
So the movement of spiritual growth initially moves up the chakras. In other words, the energy moves up the energy centers in the body, in the etheric body, and eventually reaches through the top of the head into a state of non-duality. So this is the return. Then once one is established in that, there's a movement back into the body, going back down through all of the chakras into the body. And this sense of pleasure and then well-being comes from that cycle, from the return.
Involution.
It's a return cycle again. So there's a cycle that goes upwards into the seventh chakra. And one can say you're going further, but in fact, it goes back into the first chakra and then starts to evolve again. So there's cycles of evolution. And this is not the ego cycle, not even the awake cycle. This is a non-dual cycle.
Okay. And what's the next state, non-dual state? Actually, no, wait a minute, Neil. You mentioned to me that well-being was connected to the astral body.
Yes, that's correct. Astral body is the next body up from the physical body. It's primarily geared towards emotion, well-being, and that's awake in me. So I'm living on that plane, talking to people who are dead, passed on, connecting with different beings on that plane. Some are human, some are non-human.
And why is the astral plane connected to the non-dual state of well-being?
Well, the astral plane is about emotional connectedness. That's how one moves about in the astral plane, is by moving towards a sense of connectedness with other beings. So if I want to connect with my mother, I have to feel her or think about her. And there's a connection that occurs.
Okay. So the connection between your astral body and the astral plane and the non-dual state of well-being is what?
Well, the well-being is about living on that plane, about being evolved on that plane, about having access to the nature, the deepest nature of that plane, which is a sense of deep well-being. So the astral body at its most evolved state is in a sense of deep well-being. And in fact, there are a lot of gurus who talk about this as the goal of enlightenment. It's the sense of deep well-being. I feel loved. I feel cared for. I feel nurtured. I feel supported. And I feel like I'm doing the same for others. So this is the natural state.
Okay. And so what's number 3?
So the next stage is joy, which is a product of the mental body. It's the sense of movement, of deep sense of well-being in cycles of excitement, of deep pleasure, almost like I'm being played like a musical instrument. That there's these highs and lows, and there's, in terms of a sense of joy, being alive and being here.
So it sounds like joy is more dynamic than well-being.
Yeah, it's more dynamic, and it's natural, and it's there as long as I put attention on it.
Okay. Do you want to say anything else about that?
No, I think that's sufficient.
I mean, when you're talking about it, you look energized. You look vital. What are you feeling when you talk about joy in the mental body?
I'm feeling like deep sense of well-being that is having peaks and troughs. And the best description is like a musical instrument being played and playing on the universe. musical instrument playing the universe.
So is this Ananda in Satchidananda?
That's a generic phrase that probably would be best for the heart, which is the next one.
So what is next in the series?
Next would be the heart, and Ananda might fit, which is bliss. So this is a steady state of more than well-being, of bliss that I feel on my tongue, I feel in the heart, I feel in the body, I feel in the connection with all human beings. And it's hard to describe how powerful this is. And it's a product of enlightenment. So in Indians would say Satchidananda, with Ananda meaning blissfulness. That's the nature of pure consciousness. But this is more steady in the heart, and it's continuous. And I remember in my previous lifetime, when I was a Brahmin priest in the temple, after I died, I went to Brahmaloka, this blissful heaven, and stayed there for a while. It was steady, constant, 24/7 bliss. And truth about it was I got bored with it, because after a while, bliss becomes normal and regular. And there was no growth. And the reason why there was no growth was because I actually had not gone through many developmental stages between the self and pure awareness. I had jumped. So I had to come back and experience this human journey again in order to go further than this blissful state.
And what comes after the heart?
What comes after the heart is ecstasy, which is really the six chakras and these waves of pure, can't describe it, it's indescribable because it takes over. It's waves of going up the spine, going into pure consciousness, going into a sense of total abandonment. And it's ecstatic, total ecstasy.
So many teachers and gurus and scriptures refer to these words, right? Ecstasy, bliss, as they are associated with awakening or enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
But what you seem to be doing, and I've watched as you've moved in and out of these states, you seem to be connecting them to the chakra system in an evolutionary way, from pleasure to well-being, to joy, to ecstasy, to bliss, to ecstasy. Yeah. And so we've gone from the root chakra to the hara, to the heart, to the fifth and sixth, and then out the top. So somehow you are mapping these non-dual states in this kind of energy system, Kundalini system. But there are people who are not awake who would say they feel pleasure or well-being or joy. And so what are these in relation to ego states? How do they contrast as ego states?
Well, probably the one difference is the intensity. So without being pathological, like say somebody who's bipolar or takes drugs, these are natural states that are very intense. And as time goes on, they became more available and also don't interfere with normal functioning. So I can be in an ecstatic state and be eating lunch or talking with another person, like I'm talking with you now. I'm in an ecstatic state.
Right now?
Right now. So they become normalized, and they're They have a intensity that's beyond description.
So can you describe what you're experiencing right now?
Yeah, pure ecstasy. I can experience it in the body and all the bodies. It's hard to describe an emotion. I'm attempting to.
But we're saying it's not an emotion.
Yeah, but emotion would be the best way to actually, the closest to the way to describe it to ignorance. Somebody who's not awake.
Well, we're calling it a non-dual state, as opposed to, a peak experience that might have an emotion connected to it, in which the ego grasps, oh, I want more. Oh, I hope it doesn't stop, right?
Yes, but this is always available. Can occur and reoccur in the same hour, in the same day, in different days. This is not something that is not eternal. It's eternal. It's forever.
What does that mean? It's eternal.
It's never going to go away. It's always going to be available.
You mean the state is there after the body dies?
Correct.
What does that mean?
That means that this state is the core of who we are, or these states of the core of who we are. They're all non-dual states. They're all states of.
They're not dependent on the body mind.
They're part of the celestial world, the world that's eternal, that all the gurus and enlightened beings and awake beings live in this state, this level.
So after you die and you're in your astral or mental body, you may still experience these states.
Yes, well, my understanding is that they will always be there.
Okay.
And those are not the end. Of course, there's radiance, which is pure non-dual radiating. No source, no object, no process. But radiance that I'm experiencing now, which is, again, this is a blissful state, incredible bliss.
Be more specific, please.
Well, my heart is torn open. I love everybody. I love everything. I'm in joy, just being. I'm in a state of wonderment. I can hardly sit still.
So radiance, is that associated with the seventh chakra?
Yeah, well, it's a little past that. It's non-dual radiance because there's no subject or object or process. It just is. So, and it has no limits. It's unbounded.
So is this what the gurus mean by darshan?
I don't know what that means.
So darshan is sitting in the presence of the guru as he's radiating his consciousness.
Yeah, there would be something like that.
And is radiance involved in transmission when teachers and students are giving and receiving Shakti?
There's no doer in this. This is more like if you're sitting with a person who is in radiance, you would feel something. You would feel joy, bliss, excitement, wakefulness. You would feel something. And this is what a lot of people describe when they are sitting in a room with an enlightened being.
Yeah, but in that case, if the teacher is doing something intentional, like Shaktipat or something, then it's not non-dual.
No, there's no intentionality. It's just being in the presence.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to add to this exploration of non-dual states?
Yeah, this is something we haven't covered before because it's not about cognition. It's not about awareness. It's not about
feelings.
It's more related to feelings than it is to awareness. Oh, it's not a feeling. It's related to a feeling.
And it sounds like they're more sensory. I mean, when you experience nectar in your mouth, it's a sensory experience.
The sweetest honey that you've ever tasted. It's like pure bliss in the mouth watering.
And for no reason. We don't know what triggers it or why it comes and goes.
Yeah, I mean, there are times where I don't have these states. They're not always there. They come and they go, but they're always available with intention.
So if you move your attention to pleasure or joy or bliss or ecstasy, you can kind of tune into that channel.
Correct.
It's like tuning the radio.
Correct.
If these states are there, even when we're not in a body mind, they're just there eternally, then they're kind of like a frequency that we can tune into when our subtle bodies become conscious enough to tune in.
Yes, that would describe them. They're always there. They are part of the nature of the divine. That the divine is always in existence, always present, always everywhere, always unbounded.
Yeah, so that's why these states don't depend on an individual, a teacher, a nervous system, because they're pre-existing. They pre-exist us.
Correct.
Right. We could call them radio stations, right?
Right.
Okay. So you're a tuning fork.
Looks like that.
You become a tuning fork for these various frequencies. And luckily, your physical, astral, mental, Buddhic, celestial bodies are strong enough that they can actually receive the frequencies.
Yes. And in fact, they become stronger and stronger with practice and time, with the unfoldment of the consciousness that is there. So I had bliss awareness 30 years ago. I had it in my last lifetime or between lifetimes. So it's not like it doesn't exist. But the intensity has increased enormously.
So is there anything you want to add that might help people to make this useful information?
Yes, meditate. Let yourself open up to what the nature of reality is, which is not suffering. It's bliss, it's joy, it's ecstasy, it's radiance. Let yourself go there. Much more interesting and enjoyable than suffering.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in today. If you found our discussion insightful, there's a good chance your friends will too. And we'd love it if you could take a moment to share this episode with a friend who you believe would appreciate it. Help us spread the word and reach more people. And follow us on any platform. Turn on your episode notifications so you never miss new content. Thanks for being part of our podcasting journey.